Hey everyone, please subscribe to my channel right now. When Liam passed away on a rainy Tuesday, I discovered that grief comes with its own sound. It's the creak of a crib that keeps rocking endlessly and a phone that rings without cease. Bills, condolences, silence. I was a 29-year-old widow with a 5-year-old boy and an 8-month-old baby. I managed to hold it all in until I simply couldn't anymore. Just for a short time, I assured myself, leaving my baby at my parents' tidy beige home with its neatly trimmed hedges and courteous smiles. They raised me. He'll be fine there. A week later, on the way to kindergarten, my son Oliver stiffened up. "Mom," he murmured, then burst into sobs. "We have to return to Grandma's right now." I swung the car around. We walked the final half block, silent as spirits. Through the living room window, the reality I'd hidden since childhood emerged from the darkness, reached for my baby, and forced me to recall who my parents truly were. My name is Emma Carter, and the week after my husband Liam Carter perished in a delivery truck crash, time lost its sharpness. Mornings merged into nights, and my world narrowed to bottle measurements, daycare wait lists, and emails I scanned without comprehending. I'm a mid-level UX designer in Dallas, paid to streamline complicated processes. Yet nothing about grief proved straightforward. "Eat," my best friend, Jenna Morales, would urge, pushing Tupperware across my counter. My 5-year-old Oliver colored at the table. My baby Theo wailed like he'd gulped down thunder. I attempted nannies. I tried a sitter who vanished. I tried coffee and prayer, frequently in that sequence. Every time I blinked, another deadline slipped by. Another dish grew moldy. Another bill reminded me that love doesn't push back due dates. My parents, Robert and Evelyn Whitman, lived 30 minutes away in a subdivision where the mailboxes matched and the HOA newsletter featured a Sudoku. Growing up, our house had rules that seemed sensible until you obeyed them. "Quiet is respect," Dad would declare. "Tears are manipulation," Mom would chime in, smiling as if sharing the forecast. "You need help?" Evelyn said on the phone, voice warm like a fresh cup of tea. "Let us take Theo during the day. Oliver can come after school." Routine is good for children. You were perfect on a routine. Perfect. The word lingered. I recalled straight picture frames and a chore chart laminated like a constitutional amendment. I remembered less than I should have. Memory has a way of sanding down edges when you grow up needing to walk barefoot. "Just for a week," I told Jenna, "until I catch up on work." "You trust them?" she asked. "I want to," I said. The first few days went smoothly enough to make me feel foolish for worrying. Mom sent updates, a photo of Theo in a knit blanket, a text about how much he ate, how well he napped. Dad stayed mostly out of frame, a left hand visible now and then, big, veined, familiar. Oliver came home quiet, which I mistook for peace, but small things gathered like lint. Theo startled too easily at a cupboard closing. Oliver flinched when the thermostat clicked. At pickup, Evelyn pressed her palm to my shoulder, just a beat too long, ushering me toward the door. "Don't wake the baby," she'd whisper as if sound itself were a sin. "Mom," Oliver said one night, tracing circles in his mac and cheese. "Grandpa says babies cry to win." "Oh, win what?" I asked. Oliver's mouth worked. "To win the game?" "What game?" he shrugged. "The quiet game." "The quiet game." I laughed. Too loud. The sound brittle. "It's just a saying," I told him. But later, when Theo jolted awake at 2 a.m., screaming as if the dark pinched him, I sat on the floor between their beds and stared at the wall until morning. On Monday, my manager pinged. "Any update on the handoff?" I typed, deleted, typed. Meanwhile, my phone vibrated. "Evelyn. All well, he's down. Don't come early. He just fell asleep." The text was benign. The sudden lurch in my stomach was not at pickup that night. Their house looked staged. Lemon scent, counters bare, a single vase of hydrangeas aligned with the center seam of the table. Robert sat in his recliner reading a newspaper like he was auditioning for an era. "Emma," he said without looking up. "How is Theo?" I asked. "Quiet," he said. "Children can be." Evelyn hugged me. "He's adjusting. Babies need firm boundaries." "Firm," I repeated. On the way home, Oliver hugged his backpack to his chest. Grandma says crying makes your voice ugly. He murmured. Crying helps your body let go. I said automatically. My therapist said that after Liam died. I believed it then. I wanted to believe it now. Wednesday. A bruise bloomed on Theo's upper arm, faint and thumb-shaped. Daycare toys? Evelyn suggested before I asked. Even though Theo wasn't in daycare, he's grabbing himself as he discovers his body. She smiled. Isn't that adorable? Adorable? I echoed, and the word tasted like metal. That night, Oliver wet the bed for the first time in 2 years. He woke with a scream he didn't remember. When I asked him about nightmares, he blinked hard and said, "We don't talk loud at Grandma's." On Friday, our pediatrician confirmed Theo's weight gain. Relief landed and slid off. I sat in my car staring at the clinic's automatic doors, the way they parted like they were glad to see me leave. When my phone rang Evelyn again, I almost didn't answer. "Don't bring Theo before 9, she said, cheerful. "Robert has an early errand. It's easier when the house is still. The word volcanoed in my chest. I thought of my childhood room, corners sharp with quiet. "Okay," I said, hating how small I sounded. Saturday mornings used to mean pancakes with Liam and Oliver on our balcony. Syrup on pajamas. Theo kicking his blanket like he was pedaling toward us from another planet. Now it meant laundry, catching crumbs of sleep, and lists. Jenna came with coffee and found me reorganizing the spice rack like it owed me money. "You're vibrating," she said. "What's going on?" "Nothing I can name," I said. "Everything I can feel." She studied me. "Name it anyway." I opened my mouth, closed it. "It's probably just early grief," I said, because that diagnosis felt less dangerous than the one my bones were whispering. "Okay," she said, not believing me. "But if your bones speak, answer them." Monday dawned with a headache and a to-do list. I fed Theo, packed his bag, and drove to my parents'. Evelyn took the baby with a slow, practiced smile. Robert nodded at the wall. "Routine," he said, like a benediction. I drove Oliver to school. At the intersection before the drop-off loop, his small hand landed on my wrist, shaking. "Mom," he whispered, eyes glassy. "We have to go back to Grandma's. Please, Theo needs you." The light went green. Cars honked. I pulled over and threw on the hazards. "Did something happen?" He shook his head. "No and yes at once. Just go. You tell yourself you'll be calm when it matters. You won't." I turned the car around without a plan, without breath. Fear blooming behind my ribs like ink in water. "Stop here," Oliver said 2 houses down. "We can walk." "Why? Just please." We edged along the sidewalk. The hedges were clipped to soldierly attention. The front door was closed through the living room window. The curtain gaped a finger's width, just enough for truth to slip out. I heard Theo first high, frantic, then Robert's voice, low and serrated. "Quiet, quiet. Do you want the dark room?" My body went ice hot. Evelyn stood by the couch holding Theo. Not holding, restraining hands under his armpits, shaking him in short, angry jostles. His head snapped back and forth in terrified rhythm. "He does this for attention," she said, voice smooth. "We don't reward it." "Stop," Robert said, not to her, to the baby. He took a step closer. Face hard, the same face from 1,000 childhood dinners. "You don't win here." Oliver's nails bit my palm. "See," he hissed through tears. "I told you." Something tore inside me, something that had kept the past on mute. I saw myself at 5, at 7, at 10. The scolding that wore a smile, the quiet game, the "don't embarrass us" when I cried because my knee bled. I felt the memory return like a dislocated shoulder snapping into place. The dark closet that smelled like pine, soul, and copper. The way time stretched until it begged. I didn't knock. I didn't breathe. I ran. The door hit the wall with a bang that made Evelyn flinch. Robert turned, eyes flat with annoyance, as if I were a neighbor selling candy bars. "What are you doing?" Evelyn snapped, clutching Theo tighter. I crossed the room and took my baby from her arms. He clung to me with a sob that seemed to start in the soles of his feet. "We're leaving," I said. Voice low. "No, mine." "Don't be dramatic," Robert said. "Children need boundaries. You begged for our help." Remember, help doesn't bruise, I said and showed them Theo's arm. The thumbprint halo had darkened to plum. Evelyn's mouth thinned. Emma, she said, gentle like a knife, you always were sensitive. This is why you struggled as a girl. Too many feelings. Not enough discipline. Oliver pressed against my thigh. Don't leave me, he whispered. I won't, I said. Not again. Robert moved toward the door, blocking our path. You're hysterical. Give me the baby. I stepped sideways, angling my body, holding Theo so his cheek could find my shoulder. I tasted metal again, but this time it was iron. Resolve. Move, Dad. You will apologize, he said. I looked at him, really looked and felt nothing he could use. No. I got past him because he didn't expect me to. Abusers don't plan for their scripts to fail. The hallway was a tunnel, the front door, a square of sky. I ran, Oliver's sneakers slapping beside me. Behind us, Evelyn called my name in a voice I had once followed for decades. We reached the car. I strapped Theo into his seat with shaking hands, opened the passenger door for Oliver, and drove. I didn't look back. I turned corners like I could outpace history, merging into traffic that had no idea a war had just ended and started all at once. We pulled into our apartment lot. I put the car in park and let my forehead rest on the steering wheel. Oliver reached for me. Theo hiccuped into my collarbone. Mom, Oliver whispered. Yeah, baby. Are we safe now? We will be, I said, and for the first time in months, the words didn't feel like a prayer. They felt like a plan. The apartment felt small but honest. I texted work. Family emergency. Oh, today. I texted Jenna. Come. Then I dialed a number I hadn't called in years. Audrey, I asked when the line clicked. A breath. M. My older sister's voice was softer than memory. She left home at 18 and never looked back. I told myself she'd outgrown us. The truth I was learning was different. I need to ask you something. I said about Mom and Dad, about when we were kids. Silence opened like a trap door. Then what happened? I told her the window, the shaking, the bruise, the dark room threat. My voice shook but didn't break. When I finished, I heard Audrey rustle keys a bag. I'm coming over. She arrived with grocery bags and the kind of hug you give someone when you've wanted to for years. Oliver leaned into her immediately. Theo slept on my chest, fists loosening. They did it to you too, Audrey said. No preamble. They called it structure. When you were a toddler, you cried at night. Dad said you were testing him. He'd hold you by the arms and shake you. Not violently. She corrected herself, eyes flashing. But enough. He called it resetting the fuss. Mom would watch. And when you were 5, they invented that closet. The quiet room. My stomach turned as pieces clicked. I don't remember. That's the thing about surviving, she said. Your brain edits what would make love impossible. I sat down hard. Why didn't you tell me? I tried, she said. You were 8 the last time I said anything and Dad heard. He took away your birthday party and told you it was my fault. I left at 18 so I wouldn't become them. Jenna arrived and listened without interrupting. We document, she said finally. We called the pediatrician, a trauma therapist for Oliver. And you, she looked at me. You stop explaining their behavior to yourself as help. Audrey nodded. And if they're running anything like an unlicensed daycare, we report. They always wanted an audience to their control. I thought of Evelyn's schedule, of Robert's lecture voice, of the HOA moms who raved about Evelyn's calm. The panic in my chest turned into something steadier. Not rage, not yet. Something like purpose. I picked up my phone and opened notes. Okay, I said. Step 1, photograph the bruise. Step 2, pediatrician visit. Step 3, find a therapist. Step 4, whatever comes next. The pediatrician documented the bruise and gently my shaking. You're not overreacting, she said. Shaking an infant is never discipline. Oliver started sessions with Dr. Renee Calloway, who used play to open doors. The first drawing he made was a square with no windows and a stick figure with a round open mouth. That's the quiet room, he told her. You're not supposed to tell. I called a legal aid hotline and through a friend of a friend, met Marcus Hale, a pro bono attorney with kind eyes and a memory for statutes. If your parents care for more than one unrelated child regularly, they need a license, he explained. Even if they're just watching grandkids, any evidence of physical or emotional abuse triggers mandatory reporting. He slid a list across the table. CPS, licensing board, police non-emergency evidence, I said. The word felt heavy and right. Audrey and I drove a block past our parents' house on Saturday and parked behind a row of crepe myrtles. I felt like a teenager sneaking out, except the stakes were real. Through the long lens of my borrowed camera, I watched a child I didn't recognize toddle across the lawn as Evelyn reached down and yanked him by the wrist. The exact shape of a bruise Theo wore last week. I hit record. My hands didn't shake. Later, Jenna spoke to two moms from the neighborhood under the camouflage of a Facebook swap group. Evelyn is a saint, one wrote. She gets kids quiet when no one else can. My skin crawled. We collected logs, timestamp videos, a few audio clips from a small recorder tucked into Oliver's backpack the days I still had to drop him for an hour before school pickup. If you cry, you lose. Robert's voice growled on one file. No sound, Evelyn chimed so sugary it hurt. Marcus helped us file. We didn't put my name on anything that could reach them fast. They cannot retaliate if they don't know where to aim, he said. Your priority is safety. Reports can be anonymous. You've done the right thing. At home, Theo began to laugh again. Tiny bubbles that popped against my collarbone. Oliver slept a full night. I sat on the kitchen floor between their doors and let my body figure out how to relax. It's hard work to unclench. When CPS called for interviews, I answered every question. Are you prepared not to see your parents again? The worker asked gently. Yes, I said, surprised by how easy it was. I think I already stopped. They came on a Tuesday. 2 CPS investigators, 1 licensing officer, and a uniformed police officer to keep the air from sparking. Audrey and I followed in my car, parking half a block down. I didn't need to be there. I needed to be there. Evelyn opened the door wearing her best kindergarten teacher face. Hello. What a surprise. We've received reports. The lead investigator, Miss Patel, said crisp but kind. We'll need to see the children currently in your care and the spaces you use. Reports. Evelyn laughed lightly. From who? People love to tear down good women. Ma'am, Miss Patel said. This is routine. May we come in? Robert appeared behind her, jaw clamped. We have rights and obligations, the licensing officer said, scanning a clipboard. Are you licensed for child care? We're grandparents, Evelyn said, offended. We're family. Are all the children in your care your relatives? Miss Patel asked. Evelyn's smile twitched. Well, neighbors ask for help sometimes. We'll need to see your log, the officer said. They walked the house. I watched from the sidewalk between 2 cars, breath fogging the edge of the window I peered through. Evelyn's living room had never looked so small. A boy about 3 stood with a pacifier hanging from his lip, eyes round. Miss Patel knelt to his height. Hi, buddy. Can I see your arm? I saw it from here. The faint crescent marks where someone's fingers had dug in. My vision tunneled. I felt Jenna's hand on my shoulder. I hadn't realized she'd arrived until she squeezed. Steady, she murmured. Let the process work, Robert gestured grandly to the hallway. We use the spare room for naps, he said, voice in sermon mode. The officers stepped inside, cameras out. One photographed the closet. From here, it looked like a closet. Shelves with labeled bins, a small stool, a latch. Ordinary things can be instruments. What's this latch for? Miss Patel asked. To keep the door from drifting, Evelyn said too quickly. Drafts. The licensing officer measured, noted, frowned. Sir, the hardware is installed on the outside. Robert's gaze slid past them. Children need boundaries, he said. Parents these days soft as peaches. Miss Patel didn't rise to it. Mr. Whitman, did you ever say to a child, if you cry, you lose? He snorted. It's a figure of speech. Did you ever shake an infant as a disciplinary measure? Absolutely not, Evelyn snapped, heat glowing through her veneer. We reset fussing. It's a technique. There is no safe version of shaking, Miss Patel said, voice flat now. Where is your first aid kit? Do you keep records of incidents? Injuries? Evelyn reached for a binder. Robert blocked her hand with a tiny shake of his head. A marital semaphore they expected no one else to read. The police officer noticed. "Ma'am," he said to Evelyn, "please step aside." Evelyn's face crumpled into a performance of hurt. "How dare you come into my home and accuse me of? We raised Emma into a fine woman, we know children." My name broke in the air like a plate. Miss Patel looked toward the window as if she could feel me there. She couldn't see me. She saw someone like me 100 times a year. "Sir, ma'am," she said, "for the safety of the children, we're issuing an emergency cease and desist. No child care pending investigation. The non-relative child will be released to his legal guardian immediately. You will not be alone with minors who are not your legal dependents." Robert's jaw worked. "This is slander. It's documentation," the licensing officer replied. A car pulled up. A woman leapt out, Maya Brooks. The boy's mother, hair unbrushed, shoes mismatched, eyes blazing. "Max," she cried, scooping her son into her arms. He latched around her neck, shoulders shaking with relief. Evelyn reached toward them. Maya recoiled like she'd been offered a snake. "Don't touch my child." Robert stepped forward. "You people don't understand how to raise." I opened my door and stepped onto the sidewalk before I knew I'd moved. Jenna hissed. But didn't stop me. "Dad," I said, and the word felt like the past tense of itself. He turned for a flicker. Fear crossed his face. Not of me, of disruption. "Emma," he said, tone warning. "Go home. This is handled." "It will be," I said. "Just not by you." Evelyn's eyes widened, landing on Theo, where Jenna now held him across the street. "You brought the baby after your dramatic scene the other day." "You shook him," I said. My voice carried, calm enough to echo. "You taught Oliver that silence is obedience, and that pain is order. I'm done with your curriculum." Miss Patel stepped between us, palms out. "Let's keep distance, please." Robert pointed at me. "She's unstable." "She always was." Jenna laughed sharp. "She's the most stable person here." Evelyn tried a last tactic. "Emma, forgive. Family is family. Family is safety," I said. "Everything else is ancestry." I watched professionals do what I once begged my parents to do. Put children first. Papers were signed. Photos were taken. The closet latch was unscrewed and bagged for evidence. Marcus arrived, nodding to the officers he knew by name. Maya thanked me with a look that felt like absolution and fury in equal measure. As the cars pulled away and the house stood smaller than I'd ever seen it, Robert called out, "You think you're righteous, Emma? You'll raise soft children who break." I turned. "Better soft than broken," he flinched. For the first time, I saw a human man where the monolith had been. That didn't make me kinder. It made me clear. Investigations move at the speed of paper. Headlines do not. A local moms group lit up. So did my inbox. I didn't comment. I made dinner. I took pictures of nothing moments. I didn't want to lose. The way Theo's foot curled when he slept. The way Oliver told a joke with his whole face. We found a new apartment with sunlight like a promise. In therapy, Oliver learned his body could be a messenger, not a liability. "Where do you feel safe?" Dr. Calloway asked. He pointed to his chest. "When Mom hugs me here," she nodded. "That's home." I started EMDR with Dr. Patel. No relation. And memory returned in manageable pieces. I learned the names of things. Gaslighting, intermittent reinforcement, trauma conditioning. Naming is power. It turns fog into map. Jenna set up a meal train until I threatened to marry her out of gratitude. Audrey came on Sundays, braided Oliver's hair. "Yes, boys can have braids." "Thank you." And taught me her banana bread recipe, which is really a ritual for not crying while the bread bakes. One night, as thunder sketched our windows, Oliver climbed into my bed. "Mom," he whispered, "will I ever be loud?" "You're loud already," I said, kissing his forehead. "You're loud with kindness. Loud with truth. What about Theo? He'll learn from you." We spent Saturdays at the park where Theo learned grass and Oliver learned that laughing counts as winning. I watched the boys race under a sky that did not ask them to be small and thought. This is what breaking the cycle looks like. Not courtrooms or headlines, but a child who sleeps without flinching at a hinge. Months later, licensing pulled my parents' ability to care for unrelated children. CPS closed its case with mandatory parenting courses they could take or ignore. The point wasn't their reform. It was our freedom. I never went back to their house. I changed my number and eventually my name on the mailbox. The past can send letters. It cannot open your door. On the anniversary of Liam's death, we drove to White Rock Lake with banana bread and bubbles. To Dad, Oliver said solemnly, blowing a shimmer into the wind. Theo clapped. I felt grief and gratitude hold hands in my ribcage without fighting for space. That evening, I wrote my sons a letter they'd read someday. If someone tells you love equals silence, that pain is how we learn. Leave. If your body says run, run. If your mind says name it, name it. I signed all our names, mine, theirs. Liam's, because family is a circle you draw, not a trap you inherit. Before bed, Oliver stopped in the doorway. Serious, Mom? HM. Thank you for going back that day. I swallowed. Thank you for asking me to, he nodded, satisfied with the transaction of courage, and padded to his room. Theo babbled in the monitor, a language of future. In the quiet that followed, good quiet earned quiet. I understood something I'd never been allowed to believe. I am not fragile for feeling. I am strong for refusing to forget. And when the past knocks, I will look through the peephole, recognize the face, and choose not to open. Because I have work to do, lunches to pack, drawings to tape to the fridge, laughter to practice, a home to tend, where soft is not an insult and loud is not a crime. Where my sons will grow tall without learning to fold themselves small. Where the only quiet room is a pillow fort with fairy lights and books. And the only rule is simple and final. Everybody gets to be safe.